For the first time this year, the entire Pro Church Tools team was all in one room. Our team that works remotely joined us for the launch of RebelGive, and that gave us the perfect opportunity to shoot new headshots. And so in this video, we'll walk you through our setup, production flow, editing process, and we'll even share with you a free preset so you can shoot your own headshots. Well, hey there, and welcome to Pro Church Tools, the show where in 10 minutes or less, you're going to get your non-daily dose of tips and tactics to help your church share the message of Jesus when we navigate the biggest communication shift in 500 years. I'm the boss man, Brady Shearer, joined as always by the cameraman, Dr. Thrills, the birthday boy, Lil Ricky.
Quite an intro there, Braid. One of the most popular pages on your church's website is going to be your staff page. And this is something that I didn't know. I figured it would be I'm new, about us. But when I started tracking people's behavior on our church website, I noticed everyone's going to the staff page. And one of the things I notice when I'm visiting different church staff pages, that I'll land on the staff page and the photos that I see there are just like a Facebook profile photo that was like ripped off the internet from 6 years ago. It's pixelated, it's tiny, and it doesn't look great.
Not great.
No. So what your church needs for your staff members and your volunteers, if you have volunteer directors on your site, is some great headshots. You want them to look consistent so you can tell that you're all part of the same team. And that's what we did here last week. All of our team was here in the same room for like the first time ever. Our headshots at this company were like 2 years old. So we thought, why don't we do some new headshots? Now, for our headshots this year, we wanted to go for a clean look, kind of a moody look, a really neutral look, and a uniform look. And so the way we achieved that this year was doing a single light technique and monochromatic editing. So they're entirely black and white. So we want to walk you through that right now. And there's going to be some video clips here so you can see our setup, see how we did it. We actually shot these in our video studio. So we use some video lights instead of photo lights, but you're going to see that you don't need to buy any lights at all. So let's get right into it. So how can you achieve this clean look, this moody look, this neutral uniform look? Well, we started with attire. We talked to our team and said, hey, let's wear things that are really basic, flat colors, nothing too flashy, no floral print. We don't want your attire to be the focal point here. We want your lovely face to be the focal point here. So really flat colors to kind of separate us from the background, but not steal the attention.
You never told me this.
You may not have been around at that point.
Oh, okay.
Look, we all got on the same page somehow, and the headshots turned out pretty well.
What did I wear? I don't remember now.
It was pretty basic, like jean jacket and a like gray or black shirt.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it worked out. So after you sorted your attire, you have all your team come in. You need a backdrop. And for this one, because we did black and white, we did a flat black backdrop. Now, you may have a black wall in your church. I'm sure a lot of our listeners do. So if you do, use that. That's going to be free. If you don't have a black wall, look around. You may have a black sheet at your church from VBS or from your Easter or Christmas service. So you could just hang that however you want. That could be free. If not, that's going to be really cheap. Now, if there's a little bit of wiggle room in your budget, you could do what we did and get some. We use Savage paper. It's a seamless paper backdrop. It's not cheap, but it's also the best option. It's like I said, a seamless backdrop, super clean. It's functionally invisible in our photos. It just gives you that really flat backdrop. And so that's what we use.
I will say, even though we use that now, in a previous video announcement studio, we have used a black sheet because it was more affordable. We just went down to Target and got one. Now, the Savage paper ones are like $50.
Yeah.
But if you can borrow a black sheet for free, hey, run it through the laundry, you're good to go. We've done it in the past.
Hey, and even if it's wrinkly, if you can separate your subject off of that,
the wrinkles aren't that big of a deal.
Yeah, you can't see it anyway.
Especially on a photo that can be more heavily edited than a video.
Right. And so next step is the lighting. For this round of headshots, we decided to do a single lighting technique. And that's
dramatic.
That's where you get that dramatic look. In this studio, we have 2 lights, so we're very evenly lit. But in these portraits, I wanted to light up predominantly half of the face and cast some shadow on the other side. And so instead of using my studio strobes, my photo lights, I actually used our video lights. So they're Westcott Flex lights. I set up one light and I put a Matthews scrim in front of it to diffuse that light. And so this is what you're going to look for when you're shooting these kinds of headshots is a single light source and a diffusion source. And so if you want to go free, put your subject beside a window and hang a white sheet in front of that window. So
we have done this before as well.
Yes, you've got that free light source and a free diffusion. Now, you could also do like DIY diffusion in front of a flash or in front of a video light. You could use that white sheet. Again, now in our case, like I mentioned, we use those Matthews scrims because we have a bunch around here. We use them for all of our video projects. So those are about $200 or $300 online. They're great. They diffuse the light.
They're just expensive sheets.
I think they're great. I think they do really well at diffusing light evenly, but I mean, functionally, they are just expensive sheets. So use a window and a sheet that is completely free. Now, I should note, we did use a second light in this technique.
Right.
I wanted to separate our heads off the backdrop just a little more. So I put a hair light right behind our heads, turned it on very low, and it just gives you kind of like a halo light on your hair. So it separates you from the background.
I got a hair light. It's right here.
Exactly.
Hang a phone up there. Look at that hair light.
Free.
Look how separated I am right now.
So separated.
Listeners, just trust me. I'm so separated.
So a
This
hair
is what
light
happens when you lead
I
the
know,
episode.
I know.
I just become a loose cannon.
Yeah. So hair light if you need it. You may not need it depending on what color backdrop you use. If you don't use black, you may not need it, but because we shot black, we needed that hair light. Now for your camera, when you're doing portraits, I love to set your camera on a tripod. So it's locked and loaded. It's not going anywhere. You're shooting at the same focal length every shot. You don't have to worry too much about focus. I actually set my camera. I had a little remote on the timer, so I didn't even have to be behind the camera. I could be beside it and cueing everyone while I was shooting them, kind of establish a more formal and conversational mood in the room. And you want to set that tripod up just a little bit above eye level. You want to be shooting down on the slightest of angle, not too traumatic, but if you shoot down on a slightly lower angle, it's very flattering for the face, very thinning. You're not going to get any double or triple chin action going on.
True.
And so your talent is going to appreciate that a lot.
Well, and I think the takeaway I had from this setup is that it is a very forgiving and flattering look for every human.
Yeah.
First of all, black and white immediately makes you look better.
Yeah.
Secondly, high contrast, which shapes the face in a flattering way. And so if you have people that don't like being photographed, I find when you look at a photo of yourself in this way, it's almost impossible to look and be like, I don't look great.
Yeah, exactly. They're very flattering. They're very forgiving for people who believe that they're not photogenic. Spoiler alert, that's a lie. Everyone's photogenic.
Wow.
But for people who believe they aren't, this technique is very forgiving. So we've taken the photos. What did I do with them next? Well, instead of importing them all into Lightroom, I imported just one.
Wow.
And because we were shooting in a controlled environment, I knew that I could make all the adjustments I needed to that one photo, turn saturation all the way down, get rid of that color, bump exposure a little, bump contrast, mess with my blacks a little bit, set everything the way I wanted it, and then create a preset called black and white headshots. And then I could import all the rest. And upon import, click apply this preset.
I saw it. It was like magic.
Yeah. So when I imported them all, that black and white preset was applied and my work was done. I did a little bit of cropping, but that was it. So super quick, super easy. It'll optimize your workflow so you're not spending a ton of time editing each photo. And that's what's so great about shooting in a controlled environment with that single light source. You can edit one photo, copy and paste, and you're ready to roll. So we're actually going to include that free preset in the show notes here and the show notes on the full post. And this is how you can take great photos of your team, staff members, volunteer members, put them up on your website and take your photos to a whole nother level.
That'll do it for this episode of Pro Church Tools. We'll see you next time.